What's up, everybody? I hope everyone's having a good day. I hope everyone's taking care of themselves and looking after themselves in these crazy times. I hope you're taking some time to get into the studio and get into the creative space, get into the creative mindset, and just ultimately have fun on this Sunday.
Don't you know it? Don't you know it? Don't you know it? Don't you know it? Sunday.
Going to have some fun today. We're going to take this opportunity to learn about a secret weapon that I have been learning about with regard to listening to and mixing drums in the most optimal level. So we literally are, just like I said, we're going to learn about my favorite beverage. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to learn about a secret weapon. A secret weapon. For real though, it's gonna be awesome. And what we're gonna do is, first off, take a drink. That's good. And then we're also going to learn about a secret weapon. And that is some of my favorite, let's just face it, guys. I'm a child of the 90s. So some of my favorite 90s, some of my favorite albums, rock albums, are from the 90s. And many of those albums were mixed by guys like Andy Wallace, Tom Lord Alge, and then eventually Chris Lord Alge and Dave Pensato, and a lot of those guys. They have worked on, and still do from time to time, work on an SSL console. Okay? So the secret weapon to getting great sounding drums is to mix drums on an SSL console. Let's have a listen to some drums that I recorded earlier for today's video. All right, so if you want to learn how to get a pretty decent sounding drum sound using an SSL console sound, then stay tuned. What I'm going to do is add my favorite plugin for mixing on each of these channels. And I'm just going to go ahead and add the insert EQ, and I'm going to go for the CLA MIXHUB. And I want to go ahead and add it to all the channels. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this down. I know there's a shortcut, guys, probably to add this to all the channels at once. Let's just try it. Let's just see if we can try to figure it out. We are on a long format, right? Who cares? We are learning. We are learning, guys. Let's see if we can learn. Yep. I did it. Did it. Did it. Did it. All right. On your Mac, guys. Tip of the day. Tip of the day. Option, Control, Shift, and that will apply your change to the selected tracks. I then added CLA MIXHUB to all of them. Okay, so to everything. We haven't done anything yet. Okay, let's have another listen just real quick. It might be doing something. I can't hear it. We've made no change. We've just added the plugin, all right? But what this allows me to do, okay, a couple of my favorite things, all right? And this was one of the main reasons I love this plugin. This is not what makes it the secret weapon. And we'll get in, stay tuned to the very end, and we will get to what makes this the secret weapon. But what I am saying, my favorite, probably my favorite thing about this plugin is that I can add all of these to a group. And I can say, assign all of these channels to the group in whatever order I want. You see how I did that really quickly? I just went into assign in the plugin, and then I'm clicking on the drums in the order I want them to appear, right? So if I want the drum aux, to appear second, click on it second, right? But I don't. I want it kick, top, bottom, hats, overheads, rooms, and drum aux. That's what I want. So now that I'm in this view, the bucket view, this is the awesome sauce. Because now I can look at this, all of my drums in a simple window. Got everything happening. I've got my kick happening. I've got my snare top and bottom happening. Hats happening. Overheads, room, and the overall aux channel. We're not going to worry about parallel compression is a cool thing too. We're not going to worry about that for now. Let's just do a little a few basic moves that'll make this sound really, really awesome. All right, so I can queue up another one if I want, and also take that one into bucket view, right? And now we're really looking like a console, right? So let's take a look at the drum aux channel. What do we want to do on that? Let's just go into channel view for this, and I'll explain for those of you that are brand new to CLA MIXHUB. If I can just explain for a second, this first module, and it runs in series, right, from left to right. You've got your input module where you got your mic and trim lines, your filters, you got your EQ module, you got your dynamics module, and then you got an insert section, and you got your output module. You can reorder these modules, okay? So you can drag and drop them if you want. You can change the compressor to a Bluey, a CLA Bluey, 1176 type compressor. So it's built right into the console, which is really sweet. But what this is CLA, so Chris Lord-Alge's SSL console. It's modeled after that, but it has this really awesome, unique feature where you can bucket your instrument groups and see them in a bucket view just like this, and apply processing to them in a bucket view just like this, right? That's the idea. So if I go into channel view, what do I want to do to make a few moves to the That's a good sign, people. That's a good sign. Maybe I want to filter some of that out. Use my ears. That sounds like shit. Takes all the energy out of it. A lot of the energy for the snare is in those lower mid-range frequencies. A lot of the energy for the kick is in those low frequencies. So I don't really want to use any filters, I don't think, for the drum. Do I want to add any line? I could. I could drive the input and it starts to clip. Oh, wait. But is it clipping in Pro Tools? No, it's not, right? And that's the cool thing, okay? So lesson number 1, when using this plugin, it behaves like the console. So that's really cool. You can drive these inputs and you can affect the output in a really interesting way that that adds a lot of energy and adds a lot of harmonics and just awesome sauce to whatever channels you decide to do that on. That's touching on the secret weapon topic. All right, we're gonna wait for that. But do I want to add any of this? Probably not. Not right now. Do I want to add any EQ? Maybe. I like the way it sounds with a little bit of energy on the top end. Do we want to take away any energy on the bottom or add it? No, I think it's fine. Do we want to make any other moves on the EQ section? No, probably not. We'll just leave that as is. Maybe just a touch, because it did sound kind of cool. But mainly what I want to do is just a touch of compression. Just add a touch of dynamics. Just so that and not fast. I don't want to use a fast attack or a fast release. I kind of just want the compressor to just barely be grabbing it and be doing a 2 to 1, 3 to 1, not much. So I'm using my eyes now. I can see the gain reduction moving. I'm going to consciously make an effort. I'm going to consciously make an effort to shy away from doing that and use my ears. And that's what the SSL console encourages you to do. That's why the SSL doesn't, typically have this kind of fancy schmancy stuff on it. So let's just use the ears. You can see these meters as well lighting up. So there's a little more exaggerated. So it's just grabbing the body of those drums and making it a little larger. I kind of like the way it sounds like that. Just a touch. Boy, we are clipping on the console, but we are not clipping in the DAW. That's the key. All right. Let's go back into bucket view for a second. So now that I'm in bucket view, I can see all of the parameters for all the drums. So even though I've just got this one plugin open, I've got it open twice, but even though I've just got this one plugin window open, let's just open one, just to illustrate the concept. One plugin window, and I can get to the input section, the EQ section, the dynamic section, right? You can already see the moves I've made on the drum aux. The output section for all the channels. That's the really cool thing. That's the really dope feature. So, essentially, what do I want to maybe do for the drums? Well, what I would like to do is illustrate the secret weapon. The secret weapon is this. All right, so pay attention. Everybody stop and pay attention to me. Basically, the classic SSL sound, right, is, you can drive the inputs of each of the channels and modify some of the output stage to get a really nice sound for various instruments. So if you want to use them on drums or bass guitar even, or guitars or vocals, you can use them on anything. But I'm just saying what you can do is you can use the actual mic line level here, and you can drive it up And what that will do is it will basically add distortion. It will add a lot of gain to the channel, right? So the idea is you have to compensate for that by reducing the output, okay? So a classic move you might do is say, I want to add some real body to the bottom of the snare. So let's listen to the drums again, and let's see if we can drive the input of the snare bottom while reducing the output of the snare bottom at the same time. So let's just go ahead and do that and reduce the output by 20. And we're going to drive the input up by 10. And we're going to hear the change. It still didn't clip. Still didn't clip. And you see I really exaggerated it. So we don't need that much. We don't need that much body, but you can see how you can add a lot of harmonics to it. So let's just mute. We can mute these, and let's hear the snare bottom, which, right, doesn't sound like a whole lot. I start. So it's not an exact science, but use your ears. And right, here's where we started. It's what it sounds like without anything. And I reduced the volume a bit. That's extreme. Adds a lot of tail to it. Adds a lot of body to it. Right? So from there, you could compress or do whatever you want. But again, this is where we started. And say I reduce by 20, but drive by 40. Right? That's huge. It's a sound. Right? You bring the other one back in. Because the snare bottom will be responsible for a lot of the body of the snare, while the top is that's the sound of the stick hitting the snare, right? So that's the smack, that's the stick sound. It's more high end, more top end, more clicky, whereas more of the bottom, the body of the snare comes through in the bottom, right? So let's take this. We want to do it less extreme. So let's get back to where we were. Right. So now we got both snares going. Let's get the kick in here. We can hear the kick against our snare sandwich. And let's bring the bottom down by 15, but drive it by 30. I think it's pretty cool. Let's try that. Let's remove some of that ugly well, just give it just a touch of top, but let's remove some of that ugly kind of 4K little bit. Yeah, I like that. like that. And then we want a lot of body. Let's hear this. Might not be what we want. Nah, we don't want that. And then let's go to dynamics section, and let's give the bottom a bluey flavor. Let's have the compressor grab it pretty quickly. Yeah, I like that. Fast attack, fast release, because it gets out of the way and lets a lot of that body come through, but just grabs that initial. Let's hear it without the top, just by itself. It's come a long way. It's come a long way. Let's hear the bottom without the console on it. Yeah, much cooler. And then with the snare sandwich, pretty sweet. Let's go ahead and set up some compression. We're just going to use the desk compression, but set it up sort of similar. Fast attack, fast release. Nice. All right. Very cool. Let's get back to EQ. I like the way that sounds for now. Let's get rid of... Yeah. A lot of this. A lot of this lower thump, we really don't need that. I mean, let's just hear that. Let's go into channel view for a second. You can see an awesome feature, which is the solo. You turn that on, then when you start adjusting the EQ, you're just hearing that frequency come through. So this is, that's the drum aux. So I want to open up the kick. So let's go into channel view on the kick. Turn on the solo. Yeah, we don't need that. What I would like to add a touch of, let's just control some of the lower, but not too. But then we're gonna add, we're gonna come down here. We're gonna add some. Let's just try 60 or so. Yes. Let's add a little bit of click. So you get some of that beater coming through. Get a little bit of that pillowy body coming through, but we're taking away some of this, about 2. 2, and anywhere from 2. I mean, use your ears. I don't like the way it sounds with that, with those frequencies in there. So we're taking some of that out, and that is the kick done. And we could add a sub channel to this at some point, but that is the kick done. Now let's add a little bit of compression. Let's go back into bucket view. Digging it. All right, hats. Yeah, hats don't need anything. Could get rid of just a touch of the really, really tingy highs there. And as far as EQ goes, just add a little touch of top end, a touch of 10K, 12K. Depends on how hard def you want it, you know. But for real though, we don't want that. I mean, those hats are crazy sounding, right? So volume wise, we're going to control that. So if we jump into the dynamics section of the hats, we're going to see if we can grab. Much better. And then we're gonna control the volume of these, because we got plenty of hats going on and overheads in the room just by themselves. So anyway, we can control the volume here, or jump into the Pro Tools mixer obviously and just bring it back into tastes. Probably have it set about 9 for now. That's cool. Yeah, I mean, you can sit here and do this all night, but I mean, so far so good. So what have we learned, guys? The secret weapon, okay? The secret weapon is that you can take the input channel of some of these tracks for anything, for drums, bass, anything. You take the input, you can drive the input a little bit, come down in volume on something, and drive the input up, and see how it sounds. That's an extreme example, right? Adding 50 dBs of gain in a line, adding some line volume, but use your ears. It's not an exact science. That's added some serious juice. You can see the red going off here on the input channel. But look at the overheads. I mean, we're nowhere close to clipping. You know what I mean? And that's already just added some serious vibe, you know? So experiment, you know, do it. Pull these outputs down first and do it so you don't blow your ears out. And then start bringing up these levels, and don't be afraid to just take them up. Look at how fucking badass that sounds. So that is the secret weapon. to get real honest about it, that's the secret weapon. The result is a really, really harmonically rich boost to whatever channels you deploy that method on. Reduce the output by quite a bit, then start driving up the input channels. There's no exact science. I mean, I start by experimenting with, say, you know, trimming it down by 30 and then boosting it up by 40 or 50, you know, somewhere higher. But, you know, it doesn't matter. That's my point. Use your ears. It depends on the content, depends on what you're running on that channel. It could be drums. You could use it on bass. You could use it on vocals, all sorts of stuff. It really just depends on what you're using it on. But that's the secret, right? Reduce the output, drive the input. That's the SSL sound, people. That is it. We just went from a really polite sounding drum kit in 30 minutes and went to a really badass sounding drum kit. Just vibe after vibe after vibe. Let's A and B. All right, so this is with our work that we've got. And then here is without. Wait. Wrong. Let's try it again. Next time around. Here's with. Here is without. Not yet. There it is. All right, got it. Command Alt Shift, people. In case you're wondering. Here is one more time. Let's just get one for the record and do it right. Jeez. How long does this take? A couple times. Sometimes you're having fun. You know, you get it wrong. Happens. But anyway. Let's hear this one more time with. Okay, here it is with. And then Command Alt Shift. Click on the plugin, select your tracks. Here is without. This is where we started. And it sounds great. I thought it sounded great when I jumped into the session. My ears were already used to it. Sounds great, but listen to this. Come on! It's SSL, baby. That's what it is. And we're nowhere near clipping. We're nowhere close to clipping. Not at all. Right? So we still have plenty of headroom. We can drive this up to 0. Right? You got that little yellow clip, but we are nowhere close to clipping. And that's what's great, is that the CLA MIXHUB, right? You're gonna clip on these channels if you're doing it right. On some of them. This is the sound of the SSL, right? Take the outputs down, drive the inputs. Man, it's a sound. It is a hell of a sound. That's what you got to do. Again, here's without. It's where we started. Nice, polite sounding drum kit. You can hear it. Sounds good. Here's a little bit of mixing with the SSL. Got some compression, grabbing that kick, grabbing that snare. We're really driving the inputs and trimming the outputs of the room and the overheads. Man. That sounds fucking good, y'all. It sounds good on a Sunday. Until next time.